Welcome to the Ecom Breakthrough Podcast. Are you ready to unlock the full potential and growth in your business? You've already crossed 7 figures in sales, but the challenge is knowing how to take your business to the next level. Join Josh Hadley, an 8-figure Ecom business owner and investor, as he interviews highly successful business owners. Get ready, because you're going to learn specific actions you can take today to help your business reach its full potential and leave a lasting impact on the world.
Welcome to the Ecom Breakthrough Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Hadley, where I interview the top business leaders in e-commerce. Past guests include Kevin King, Michael E. Gerber, author of The E-Myth, and Stephen Pope. Today I'm speaking with Ehud Segev, the brain behind the new technology, Logi.ai, and we are going to be talking a lot about increasing your sales on Amazon through influencer and content creators and how it's going to fundamentally change the e-commerce game over the next decade. This episode is brought to you by Ecom Breakthrough Consulting, where I help 7-figure companies grow to 8 figures and beyond. Listen, Ehud, I started my business back in 2015, and I grew it to an 8-figure brand in 7 years. But I made a lot of mistakes along the way that made the path of getting to 8 figures take a lot longer than it needed to. There were times where I had a lot of self-doubt, whether I could be a leader and manage a team of people, or whether my brand could survive and become a household name, or if I could even have the financial stability to continue to stay in the game. I wish I would have had a guide along the way that would have helped me overcome some of those obstacles and know the next steps to take. So for our listeners that have hit stumbling blocks or roadblocks and want to know the next steps to take their business to the next level, then go to ecommbreakthrough.com. That's ecom with 2 M's to learn more. And as a special bonus to my podcast listeners, this month I'm giving away one $10,000 comprehensive business strategy audit session at no cost. All you need to do is email me at josh@ecommbreakthrough.com and in your subject line say strategy audit, and then plead your case as to why I should choose you and your business to work with for this month. But everybody, I am super excited to be introducing you to Ehud Segev. Ehud is a renowned mentalist who combines his knowledge of the subconscious mind with business and marketing. He is also known as the Mentalizer and has appeared on TV and stages worldwide. He became interested in Amazon over 10 years ago after publishing 2 best-selling books that were translated into several languages. He is an authority in Amazon marketing and has helped many sellers increase their income on the platform. So with that introduction, welcome to the show, Ehud.
Thank you so much for having me, Josh.
I am super excited to have you on the show today because what you are going to share with everybody is going to be game-changing, and some jaws are going to drop as people listen to this podcast episode. So if you're driving, hold on tight because this is going to be some deep knowledge that we get into, and it's going to be really exciting. So, Ehud, before we dive into all of that, why don't you provide just a brief background about how you got interested in the Amazon space over 10 years ago and what led you to kind of where you are today and kind of helping be the brains behind this new software, Logi.ai, that we're going to be diving into?
That's a great question. And I didn't even know what Amazon was when I was just back in Israel, in Tel Aviv, flying all over the world to perform my show as the mind reader, mentalist, and all that, all these things that I did. I was performing a lot. I was performing, all the way from Broadway to Hollywood to Bollywood, and all over the world. And I just remember one day, flying back to Israel, and my mother came to pick me up from the airport in Tel Aviv, and we were driving all the way to the Upper Galilee. And as we were doing the drive, I'm checking my emails on my phone, and I get this email. I don't even remember why or how I signed up to this list, but I'm getting some kind of an email about a course called ASM, Amazing Selling Machines, like 10 years ago, something like that. Yeah, it was literally 10 years ago. And it was so expensive. It was just super, super expensive, but they were so convincing by saying that that you can make so much money from selling on Amazon. Now, that was the time after I already knew what Amazon is, because I actually wrote a couple of books and I published them. And because of my appearances all over the place, every time I would do my show, I'd say, and guys, you should definitely read my book. I would show my books and all that stuff. And you know how it is. I don't need to teach you guys, because you're Amazon experts, how easy it was for me to get this Amazon #1 best-selling badge, because I had all these people in my shows going and buying the book. So I was very lucky, and I added that to my resume, and #1 best-selling author on Amazon. It was great. It was a great experience. And I said, well, if I can sell all these books, doing my shows, why shouldn't I create some kind of a physical product like this email is offering me to do? It's like saying, hey, sell this, whatever it is. And I said, maybe I should sell something that has to do with the power of the mind, maybe some kind of special crystals or stones, or what do you call that dangling thing?
It's like a dream catcher or something.
Yeah, stuff like that, that kind of like mind releasing, thoughts provoking elements. And like, okay, let's say this. And they say, you know what? If you're not happy in 60 days, you can get a full refund. So what if it costs like $5,000 and spend another $5,000 flying to Vegas for our seminar, and spend like $10,000? They're giving us a full refund in 60 days. Once I signed up, Josh, it was just like an amazing ride. Because first thing is, they said, whatever you thought that you're going to be selling on Amazon, forget all about it. You're not going to sell that. You're going to sell what we're going to tell you that you're going to be selling. And it's going to be based on some kind of a research that you're going to make. And all of a sudden, I find myself a performer, an entertainer, selling a women's beauty cosmetic product that has nothing to do with anything that I thought of. But I said, you know what? Let's play their game. Let's say if it works. Bam, $100,000 made. Boom, I choose another product. Boom, another $100,000. Like literally, it was such a magical experience for me. I'm like, how is this even possible? Like, it's just like, it was, those was the beauty years of selling on Amazon when super URLs used to work.
Right. Oh yeah.
But anyway, so that's how I started. I literally started over 10 years ago, and I was really doing really, really well. But since day one, I implemented a lot of my knowledge about the human mind and about how to create a real engaging brand that can really generate a lot of the sales. And it was funny when everybody was saying, you're going to be working only 4 hours a day, 4 hours a week. I'm like, yeah, you're going to be working. The truth is, you're going to be working 4 hours an hour. That's how I would say it, because it was so much work. It was just so much work. And for all those that try to find like an easy way to get rich, they very soon, ask for their refund for the course. But I never did end up asking for that refund, and I became a very big supporter of that entire concept. And I was really preaching to everybody I could from the Amazon community: build a brand, understand the psychology behind your brand, why you exist, and why people actually end up buying your product. And I had a lot of friends who just created this flea market, and they just kept on throwing products to Amazon, hoping something will stick, and they would make some money from this, lose some money on that. But nothing made a brand out of it. And there was no thoughts behind it, except for just a simple formula of, hey, let's check out what is the BSR, how much, what is the competition, what's the review, and just choosing based on that. But as you know, the reality catches us eventually. And people realize that it's not just about throwing products out there and just hoping that it will stick, or knowing that you followed specific course formula and you're able to find that winning product. In order to succeed now, you really have to understand a lot of the subtleties, human subtleties, and what makes someone actually buy your product. And I think that is one of the biggest ceilings. It's like this glass ceiling that prohibits, that makes it so much harder for these big brands that are trying to really get to the next level to achieve that, because they are very stuck with the old version, the old school practices that are not working as good and soon will not work at all. And that's what we're going to talk about today, Josh. We're going to mention a lot about that. So I'll let you ask some questions, because I can keep on going on and on, but let's try to get you direct the conversation.
I love it. So to kind of reiterate everything you're talking about the importance of actually building a brand and a community around your products, and not just kind of seeing, hey, this type of market is doing well on Amazon. I'm going to go dive into this market. And oh, I see this other market's doing well. I'm going to go dive into this. And then I've just got a bunch of disjointed products, right? And I'm just relying on Amazon, right? I think that's where a lot of Amazon sellers can kind of get tripped up most of the time. When you talk to an Amazon brand owner and you talk about building a brand, I think what most people think about is, well, yeah, I created my storefront on Amazon, and we've scheduled out some posts on Amazon posts, and we have people clicking the follow button, and we've sent out a few of the emails through Amazon's platform, but it's not great. But that's my brand, and oh yeah, I have an insert card that leads to, I've got an email list, but I'm not really sure what to send to that email list. It doesn't drive a ton of traffic. But what they do rely on is they know PPC and they know how to find products on Amazon. And that's what they're currently relying on. If I hear you correct, Ehud, what you're saying is that over the next 5 to 10 years, things are going to be shifting, and it's probably going to be even faster than that in terms of who's going to be able to survive in the long run with e-commerce. Is that a correct synopsis?
Not even correct, but super correct. And I would even make it a little bit more extreme for the listeners. It's not even 5 years. I'm talking about a year, maximum 2 years from now. And everybody who's relying on PPC, they already feel the pain. Everybody who's relying on this just spray and pray approach of let's just throw money into the ads because we see some kind of money coming in, they already feel how hard it is to get the same results that they got 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago. It's just becoming harder and harder. The truth to be told is that the cost of all these traditional advertising channels, whether it's Amazon PPC, Facebook, Google, or any other traditional ads, is just becoming more and more expensive, while the effectiveness of it is dropping significantly. And the reason behind it is because people do not believe in ads anymore. We have become accustomed. It is if we realize that people are trying to sell us things, and we don't like that. Nobody likes to be sold to. I don't want to be when we see the ads, we literally ignore them. It becomes transparent. It becomes invisible. Now, Josh, it's not even about our customers. It's about you and me. You, Josh, me, and the person who is listening to this podcast right now. If they stop for just 1 second and think about it, we will prove it to them that they do not believe in ads anymore. When you go on YouTube, let's say you don't have YouTube premium subscription and you have that ad that keeps on showing. If I'll ask you, what was that ad about? You will tell me, I don't know. I just saw 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, skip ad.
Yeah.
You didn't. Yeah. No, that's it. When I ask you, wait, what was that ad you saw on this TikTok that you were swiping up? You're like, which one? Oh, there were ads? I didn't even see an ad. I was just, because you're so it's become like instinct. You just swipe up. You don't care about these ads. You do not care about the ad. You're looking for the content. You're looking for essence. You're looking for something that will make your life better, make you feel better, make you feel happier, smarter, whatever it is you choose. Yeah. And that's what takes me to your question. And in your question, you said, these people said we created a brand. And that's where I stop everybody. Josh, that's where I'm literally, I can do a lecture in front of 1,000 sellers, and I would tell them, if you think you have a brand, raise your hand. And everybody's like raising their hand. I have a brand. I'm like, what is a brand? What does it mean? What does it mean that you have a brand? Well, I registered it. I have a trademark. I have a brand. Yeah, that's what you think a brand is? A registered trademark in the USPTO? No. I created a logo. I have a brand. Oh, okay. So now you have a brand. That's what you think? That having No. I have 5 different products from the same niche, and I put the same name on all of them. I have a brand. No, it's amazing because I have a completely different approach to what a brand really is. See, Josh?
Yeah. So I'll ask it. Let's dive right into it, because I know you're going to share some deep truth here. But what does actually having a brand mean for an e-commerce seller?
What does a brand mean for anyone, not just an e-commerce seller? What does a brand mean? And here is what Ehud Segev says a brand is. Okay, Josh? A brand is audience, people. I'm coming from being on stages all over the world, performing. When I would do a show here in 42nd Street, Times Square, on Broadway, New York City, and people would come and see me perform, they would go and buy tickets to see my show because they heard about me, because they read about me, because a friend told them, oh my God, you got to see this guy on stage. I had an audience. Without an audience, I would not have a reason to exist. If you do something and you do not have an audience, you have no reason to exist. In fact, it doesn't matter if you have one person that you're performing to or 1 million people. As long as you have that one person that is actually listening to you, watching you, consuming you, buying your product, now you have a brand. If you wrote a name on a box or you signed in the USPTO, you registered a trademark, nothing of that matters. But when someone actually talks about you, when somebody actually goes and places an order for your product or just tells their friend, I just got this product and I love it, that is when a brand starts existing. Forget, guys, everything you ever learned about the term brand. Brand doesn't matter what it is, how you named it. You can name it Josh, you can name it Ehud, you can name it Apple. It really doesn't matter. What matters is that this brand has an audience. And once it has an audience, the brand becomes real.
Ehud, this is amazing. I love that you simplified what is a brand, what does it actually mean, down to one single word, audience. So now here's my next question. So we know that a brand equals audience, right? Where do we begin, right? Especially if you're an Amazon seller and you've already got, let's say, 20 different products serving a specific niche. You've got your registered trademark. You think you have a brand, but what you know you're missing is the audience that you talked about. Where does a brand or a seller go from there to say, you know what, it's true. I've got the registered trademark, but I don't have an audience. I've got products, but where do I begin to develop and create an audience of raving fans?
So as you understand, it doesn't just start with the audience. You have to come with something for the audience to talk about. So there's audiences in New York. There's millions of people in New York. Why would they come see my show? I have to give them something to talk about. When I was working with all these brands in the past, all these e-commerce brands would come to me and say, we need to do something different with our product because you're telling us that we have to build an audience. We have to create this, brand around it. So what makes our product different? And it was so funny because in Hebrew, I was talking to all these Israeli sellers and, there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
It was funny in Hebrew when I was telling it to them because they would come and they say, we created this amazing bundle. Everybody would come to me and say, I'm so different than all my competition because I have this bundle that I created. I'm actually adding, and I would say to them, don't bundle. In Hebrew, it sounds funny. In Hebrew, it says, lo levandel levadel. Lo levandel levadel. It's like literally almost the same word, which means do not bundle, be different. Like really come with a solution. But it's like literally one letter less. But they were like, but this is so hard because they're like, oh my God, it's so easy to find what other product is sold with your product. You just look at Amazon and you know it. But all of a sudden you're asking me to do something different. Now that demands a lot of work. And it's not. It actually does not. Once you understand and you follow some of the great people that teach that, everybody's like eventually is teaching you, read the bad reviews of your competition. That's like one of the best ways to do that. But when you ask yourself the deeper understanding of why am I reading those 1-star reviews of my competition, you understand that it relies on a much deeper psychological thing that happens with the people who wrote that bad review. Now let's talk about it for a second, because once your audiences hear, your audiences, Josh, listen it down, because you have a brand, your podcast, it would not exist without your audience. Once your audience understands the subtle psychological facts that made someone wrote a 1-star review for your competition, you have no idea how powerful it is for their own brand. As you create your own brand, you will get your own 1-star review, and you can actually go and kiss the people who gave you those 1-star reviews, because they are the ones who are really going to help you build your brand even better. But as you're starting, let's concentrate on that, because we're talking about 7-figure seller. So what does it mean to read someone's 1-star review? And once I tell you this, neither one of your sellers will ever read a 1-star review the same again. This is a huge golden nugget. Okay? Listen to this, Josh. Every complaint consists of a huge request. Someone is begging for help. Someone is trying to kill your product, putting that 1-star review. You're going to hate them so much, but they actually give you a roadmap. That roadmap is literally a roadmap for success. He's telling you, please help me get to my destination. You can never get to that destination from 5-star reviews or 4-star reviews. Those are nothing. They're empty and meaningless. The only thing that can make your brand more successful is by understanding that every 1-star review that you get for your product is a building block to determining what your brand is all about, who you are, and how you can be the biggest thing out there, just like Apple, Sony, Nike. Why? Because the human mind many times does not know to come and say, hey, can you help me? Can you help me achieve X, Y, or Z? Can you do this for me? That will make me so happy. We have been trained to attack, to complain, to be sad and annoyed, whereas in reality, we're asking for help. Now, no matter what that 1-star review is, if you can take that 1-star review and ask yourself this simple question, what is that person that wrote that 1-star review is actually asking me? They're asking, they're actually asking me something, and they're wanting for me to help them. They want to get from wherever they are right now in life to a different place that will make them happier, more content, more healthy. So instead of getting so upset when you get that 1-star review, you understand how the audience is actually giving you the building blocks of making your brand so much better than any other brand. You ask me, how do I build my audience? How do I even understand who my audiences are? Yeah. By looking at these 1-star reviews, you can actually tell who your audience is. Because one of the best ways I teach my brands, the people that I work with, to understand what the brand is about, is not by coming and saying, I'm smarter than everybody else and I know why I created my products. No, it's by asking my people that bought my product, why did you buy my product? Or why did you not buy my product? Or in our case, why did you return my product and left a 1-star review? And when you understand that, when you understand the reasons why, you understand what makes your brand different than anyone else. And that is how you know how to approach that audience. And you ask me, Ehud, now that you can create an audience, how can you grow and build it? When you understand who your audience is, and what they want, it's so much easier to reach out to them because you know their pain. You know exactly what are those points that you need to press on, or as I'm using it in the new future of marketing, which is using content creators and people like them. I'm using my own audiences. I'm taking the closest people to my audience and I match my product with them because I know that they will be the ones that are the best ones to talk about the pain and to share that with other people and to convince them to become, not even to buy my product, but to become my brand's audience.
Ehud, this is a huge mindset shift, not only for myself, but I think for the listeners. I want to reiterate everything that you just talked about because I asked you this question. Okay, I've got my brand on Amazon or maybe it's on Shopify, whatever it is, right? And I'm selling products already, but I need to build an audience of people, right? I want to actually create a brand, which you said a brand is an audience of people, right? If I want to create an audience, I asked you that question. The first thing that you did instead of, well, I would immediately get on social media. I would start telling your story. I would go partner with this. I would start running these ads, et cetera, et cetera. The very first thing you did is you really rolled everything back and took us to the beginning of identifying how you are differentiated in the market. What is it that you are bringing that's unique to your niche? And I love that you zoned in even more to provide us, I think, a golden hack here of understanding who your true audience is are the people leaving you the 1-star reviews, not the 5-star reviews, not the 4-star reviews. And I love that you said the people that are leaving the 4-star reviews are begging for help and they are telling you exactly how they need your help in order to achieve their goals. And they are paving your path to future success if and only if you listen to them and actually serve them. But I love that that's such a core fundamental piece to all of this. And so I want everybody to really, hit rewind and dive into this, because it's a different way of looking at who is my brand, who is my audience, who am I serving, how am I different, and how is my product differentiated in the market. So now, Ehud, I think we could dive into that mindset stuff more for the next hour, but I want to get into even more exciting stuff, right? So let's say I now know who my audience is. I know how to serve them. How do I go get more of these people? Let's say I've got one person, right? Like you said, an audience can just be one to begin with. Say I've zoned in on who that person is. How do I go build a bigger audience like yourself that could go fill, a stadium or a theater full of people that want to hear me or my brand, buy my products, and more?
So great question. And that's literally the $1 million question, right? So basically, when you give someone an experience that is over-delivering their expectations, you already are, 10 steps ahead of everybody else. But this is not new. We all know that. But if we only have this one person or a few people, a handful of people, but, most of our brands that are listening to us right now actually have some kind of a much bigger pool of fans or audiences that are already working with, we want to understand something so beautiful that I've learned from Seth Godin. And I totally recommend everyone who's not read his books or even listening to his podcast. Seth Godin, one of the most brilliant people ever. In one of the things he said is that people like us do things like people like us. Just that one line that he kept on saying, people like you, Josh, are doing things like people like you. These are the type of people that are literally doing what you guys are doing. So if we're taking it to the extreme and we're talking about my friends in Israel or my Jewish friends in Israel, they will not go to a non-kosher restaurant, because people like those Jewish people in Israel that go to all these kosher restaurants will go to a kosher restaurant to eat their dinner, and they will not go and eat some shrimp or something which is not kosher. This is if I just want to show you how simple it is to understand. Every one of us is unique, but we follow the same trends, the same ideas, and the same concepts. A lot of it is because of the way we were raised, our neighborhood, our mentality, the school, our teachers. When we understand that we will never be able to reach everybody, we're already halfway there. A lot of these brands are just, trying to eat the cake and have it too, by saying, no, my product is amazing. I have a chef knife. Everybody needs a chef knife, stuff like that. I have a cutting board. Everybody needs a cutting, but no. By understanding that some people will use your product, and these type of people are the type of people that will be using your product. And if you don't have that niche, you have to invent it. You literally have to say, okay, I'm not going to make that generic product, at least not in the beginning. I might be able to create a lot of variations later. But in order to start with something, I really have to do something like people like my audiences will appreciate. So one of these brands that I work with is selling a self-tanning lotion. And send it and let's share it and let's create content with all these Amazon influencers and content creators out there. But the truth to be told, there's so many people who are naturally tanned, or African Americans or Latin people in this area that are so tan. They never use a self-tanning lotion. So all of a sudden you're like, no, it's not everybody. It's not, you think, because it's easy for you to say, just let's do it. Let's just get the word out there. But wait, if I'm literally promoting it to the wrong people, I'm missing out on, first thing, I'm just spending my time and energy and money, which are literally the only three things that I have, right? My energy, my time, and my money. Those are the only three things people rely on in the world. And if I don't know how to maximize these three elements, I'm literally losing it all. So understanding that people like us buy things from people like us, all of a sudden it makes so much sense. All of a sudden you start understanding how I can utilize my audience to sell more and grow my brand. Because people like us will keep on buying products from people like us, as long as these products are product like these that are belonging to people like us. It's all about this little rhythm. And yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, the idea came to my mind just to like double down on what you're talking about. You talked about the example of a chef knife, right? And you're saying, okay, chef knife is pretty standard. Almost everybody probably has one in their kitchen, right? Here's how you said, if there isn't a specific audience, then go create one, right? With the analogy of the chef knife, and this just came to me, you've got a professional chef, right? That loves to cook, right? That they're a professional chef. That would be one type of audience that you could serve. You've also got maybe a barbecue enthusiast, right? They love their meat and they love their, barbecuing, right? You could probably tailor your product to that audience. Or you've got maybe your everyday consumer that maybe only cooks maybe once or twice a week. They need something just to get the job done efficiently, but they don't need, they don't need the level that the professional chef does or, what the barbecue enthusiast needs, right? And so I think that's what you're trying to hone in on, right? Is like speak to a specific audience, not just everybody. And if you think that it's like, well, anybody that has a kitchen is my audience. Anybody that cooks, you're wrong. You need to get deeper. Is that a correct assessment?
Josh, it's very, very correct, but let's explain it a little bit deeper. Let's share a little bit more insights about it just so people will get the hang of it. Just like you said, you might be a sushi man. You might be cutting your sushi with that chef knife, so you're specifically for sushi, or you might be a vegan that cuts his, whatever vegetables or whatever special things. And many times when you create your brand, you don't even know who are the people who are buying your product are. And that's where you can really rely on the reviews or the people who are joining your communities, whether you create a Facebook group for that and all that kind of stuff. And then you can start owning down and understanding exactly who are these people that are buying my product. It is so crucial because once you create that really strong base, and you don't have to know it in the beginning, you just threw it out there. And all of a sudden, like you said, Josh, I realized that all of a sudden, this professional chef is the one who actually, those are the people who ended up buying this specific knife. And maybe it's because the price was higher. So we made it like, we created this, good reputation for this knife. The higher the cost is, the people believe the quality is better, even though we know it doesn't mean anything. So where did that product that I create in a little bit of a spiritual way, I'm going to ask people, where is that energetic vibe resonated with what audiences? It's kind of weird that I say that, but it's true. I threw out a product out there. It was something that I did a research, or it was a part of my brand. So I know some kind of the DNA of the product. But when we have babies and they're born, we can try to educate them, but each one of them will have their own soul, they will organically grow to be their own human being. And the same thing happens with the product. When you create in an energetic level a product and you send it out to the world, it's going to echo and resonate with very specific audiences. Sometimes you planned it, sometimes you did not. One of the products I was launching was literally a children's beach tent, which is a pop-up beach tent that you open, and it's like this was one of the products that I launched a few years ago. You will never believe, I'm taking it to the extreme, but you will never believe who was the audience that ended up buying most of these products. It was carpenters that used that product as a replacement for their wood cutting to collect all the pieces of the wood that would fly into that thing, because the original product by the sewing company, the saw company, whatever it is, they actually sold it for like, I don't know, $199 for that special, dust collector. And this tent created fit perfectly, and it was only $39.99. So everybody was talking about, hey, just get this beach tent by this brand. And all of a sudden we sold so much of that. I'm just giving like a really extreme example to show you how sometimes you plan one thing and you end up getting something completely different because something about the energy is decided that that's what's going to happen. But when we take it back to ourselves and we understand that once we gave birth to a product, that product has our DNA, our brand's DNA, meaning it's going to be easy for us because we created it and we're kind of aiming it to a specific audience, but it will be echoed into this universe and will create its own, audience and its own kind of culture around it. And as we listen to it, it's going to be very interesting to see how it resonates, with who it resonates, who are the people that are actually wanting it. Are they Jewish people in Tel Aviv or Israel or Brooklyn? Or are these Latin people in my neighborhood here in Manhattan that love it? Whatever it is, it doesn't matter, because each one will echo it, because people like me will end up buying stuff like, this specific product. Where do we take this? Where do we take this, all of that knowledge? So I took this, all of this knowledge that I was thinking and I realized and all that stuff. And I was really working on trying to help all these brands and trying to, me coming as a influencer and creator myself, because I was performing, I have all my audiences, I have, tens of thousands of people following me on social media. I'm like, the world is shifting. People are not believing in those traditional sorts of advertisement anymore. How are we going to leverage the new way of selling products, which is only going to be by creators? This is literally the future of selling online. How are we going to build it? How are we going to use everything I just said and turn it into a technology, into bits and bytes, into zeros and ones? And here is the way we did it so differently. We did it by looking at exactly, I'm following, how do you say, I put my money where my mouth is? Is that how you say it in English? Yeah. Yep. I'm saying watch other people and what they're failing in, look at the 1-star reviews. And I was like, let's see what's wrong with the way it is right now. Let's try to understand why it's not working the way it's supposed to be working. When I'm a brand and I'm trying to reach out to all these audiences and I'm trying to use creators that are content creators are literally my audiences. I'm using audiences to get to audiences. Yep. You asked me before how to use influencers or the world of influencers, but I don't like saying influencer because, people used to think that an influencer is someone that has 1 million followers and they're going to influence people to buy my product. But that's not the case. I don't want people to influence millions to buy my product, because we understand that that's not how the product is going to grow and build. I understand that I need my own audiences, people like me that buy product like this. These are the people I want to talk to. I don't want to talk to a huge person, because that takes me back to where we were 100 years ago. Yeah. Which is here, take $1 million, put an ad on NBC, on CBS, on whatever it used to be, put it on New York Times ad and spray and pray. And let's hope that from 1 million people, one will want to. No, that's not the way to do it. It's definitely not when you understand that your product has a DNA and you're literally going to go in Times Square and scream to everybody, buy my product. You're literally going to spend your time, energy, and money, the 3 elements that you have. You don't want to spend it on the wrong things. So how am I finding the right people? I need to find people like the people who are already buying the product. Okay. So what are the pains that that brands are facing right now when they try to achieve that? What is the problem? And I was, looking at all these other softwares out there and technologies, and basically, you start from as simple as going to Fiverr.com. It's a marketplace, and you look for influencers, or you go into more specific influencers.com's websites and trying to find influencers. Everything is influencer marketing.
Yeah.
But I speak to all these brands and they tell me, listen, it's just so time consuming. It's so hard. What is hard? It's just, I don't know what is so, but I need an answer. Like I told you, brand is audience. I need an answer. What is hard? But nobody could tell me. So I had to figure out what was hard myself. And I figured it out. When they say it's so hard and time consuming and expensive, yada, 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 and it's just like takes so much energy, it comes down to filters. And I'm serious. Like, it's funny what I'm saying right now. Here's a bomb. Okay. It's filters, filter. Let's filter down who is the right influencer for me. So basically, here's the thing. All these brands go to all these websites, and the first thing they see in all the websites, you do it yourself. You can try it right now and you'll see that I'm right. The first thing you see when you go to any one of these websites, whether it's Fiverr, Upwork, influencer.com, schmanzfluencer.com, spunkfluencer, name whatever, influencer, words that they invented. And the first thing you will see on the screen is you're going to be able to filter down to the best influencer. It's like literally start drilling down and drilling down. We have thousands of influencers, tens of thousands, millions of influencers. Let's drill down. Now here's what happens. I have a product. I go to one of these websites, and by the way, these websites are amazing. I don't want to sound like I don't want to sound like that. Even though it's annoying, I'm annoyed by all these filters, but they solve the problem perfectly until now. Now they have to change. Now everybody have to listen to me, and they'll probably start following the methodology and the technologies that we're inventing, because AI is changing everything. But until now, that was the technology, and that was fine. Why? Yeah. Because you would go to a website and you would say, I have this new lipstick that I'm launching, so I want to filter down to only a female. Yeah, boom, filter down to, instead of, 10,000, now I have only 5,000 influencers in the list, and I want her to have at least 100,000 followers on Instagram. Boom, just dropped to 700 influencers, and I want her to live in New York, Los Angeles, or Florida. Boom, limited to 349 influencers, and I want her to mention the word lipstick in one of her posts or something. Boom, lower down to 74, and now I need to start emailing all these 74 and waiting for them to reply to me, and then ask them if they want to participate in some kind of a campaign, and then ask them for what their rates are, and ask them to show me past stuff, and like back and forth, and all that. Oh my gosh. Now I understand why all these brands give up and say, this is just too much. On average, it takes 6 weeks for someone, and they have to have someone just working all day long, just back and forth, and let's set them up as a vendor and send me an invoice, but send me a report, and what was the results, and all that kind of stuff. And so on a normal platform that exists right now, which, as I said before, those are the best platforms that existed until now, it took an average of 6 weeks to get a campaign out, and then you would never be able to see the results. And I said, okay, we have to really fix it. We have to fix it.
Yep.
And without going into too much details, because we really nailed it. I think we did something so mind-boggling. We use AI. We literally, AI is literally taking over. And I was talking about it for the past 2 years, since I went into the garage and start coding, like not looking outside to the world and just like trying to figure this out. But now everybody's exploding with AI, with all these, Stable Diffusion, Midjourney, ChatGPT, all these people realizing right now how AI really has the power to tell and really be able to create something from nothing. But when you take all these creators and you're able to understand who they are and the essence of their existence and who are the people that are like them, now imagine the magic. Now imagine the magic, Josh, of being able to not use filter, to not email back and forth. Will you work for me? This is my product. These are my talking points. This is the thing. Where should I ship the product to you? How much are you wanting to pay? Can you send me an invoice? Can you send me the report? This one sends an Excel. This one sends a notepad. This one sends a screenshot. This one. Can you imagine taking all of that communication and eliminating it and taking all this yabba that I just described here, those 6 weeks of painful process, remove it, literally remove it out, place it with an AI engine that completely automates it and makes sure that from all the influencers out there, you will be matched with the ones who are most likely to generate sales for your product. Not maybe, not guessing, knowing for like our technology. Why I'm so in love with it is because where everybody else is guessing or filters down, when you said, I want this woman to have 100,000 followers on Instagram, you just lost 742 girls who are more likely to generate sales for your lipstick than that girl alone. You literally eliminated her. Why? Because you filtered her down.
Yeah.
But you cannot go one by one over thousands of influencers and trying to figure out yourself if that person will actually sell the product. But AI can.
So that would be my question then. How does this magic or sorcery work? How are you able to identify this influencer or content creator is really going to have success with your products? How do you know that through AI in your experience and any case studies?
So I can tell you a little bit so other companies can start building their own technologies, and we're doing. It's going to take them a while, but I'll be happy to share. I think the best way to explain it is by understanding the four pillars or the four steps that every sale that happens when you sell a product. So if I'm selling this earpods by Apple, for an example, I'll just take that as an example. But let's imagine it can be a lipstick, it can be a chef knife, it can be anything, right? So basically, what happens is that the first step is that you have to have an offer. I can create it for myself. I can, but if I don't have an offer that I'm saying, here is a product, and this product sells for $50, and maybe there's a discount, but that's the first pillar. Like that's like literally an offer. When you have an offer, you're starting the journey. Now you have the offer, and this is sitting in my store, but nobody knows about this offer. It's like, okay, it can stay in my store for eternity. We need to make sure that this offer is being pushed out. So that's where the second pillar comes, which is a channel of distribution for my offer. And that is what we discussed before. It can be a PPC campaign. It can be putting an ad in the New York Times, a full page, and everybody will see it, and it's like reaching everybody. I can put a TV ad. I can put whatever I want. That's the second thing. I need to find a channel. In my case, I'm going to use a content creator to share the word about this offer, right? Okay. But it can be any other medium that is sharing this offer. And then the third step comes, which is audience are actually being exposed to this offer. This is the third automatic thing. I put the ad, boom, the next day everybody sees it. I put a PPC, someone clicked the keyword, he sees the ad. I was promoting it with a content creator. His followers were exposed to this offer, which leads us to the last step, which is some of this audience will actually end up buying this product. So that is the sale, from an offer to a sale with distribution and audience in the middle. Okay. Now let's see what happens right now. And when I will tell you this, you will immediately understand why our technology is so disruptive, why what I'm trying to build with the team is so different than anything else out there. Everybody is trying to find the right channel to distribute the message to the audience in order to generate the sale. Look at that, Josh. From the product, who is going to be the right one to distribute my message? And a lot of people are using PPC or trying to find, influencers with all these filters and all that kind of stuff. So they hope that the audience will be engaged enough to make that sale. Take a deep breath, because I'm going to tell you something right now that will blow your mind. What if I could go in reverse? What if I had the power to start by the sale, from that sale, figure out who the audience is that already bought it, then, Josh, only then, audiences, what channel are they relying on in order to make their purchases? And these are the channels that I'm going to distribute my offer through. Isn't that magical if I can do that? Yeah. Isn't that magical? It is taking the guesswork, all this struggle here between step 1 and 2, and making it not important anymore. It doesn't exist. I already know the product and who they are following, so I can reach out to them. And how do I do that? I need to find the invisible X. What is the invisible X? I need to know what other products were already sold by those creators. And this is our secret. For the past 2 years, we have been collecting every single sale that was ever been performed by all these Amazon influencers, and we work with most of the Amazon influencers out there. We know exactly what they sold, and now when we feed it into the AI, no matter what product you will give me, I will know who are the people who already sold the most similar product that has the most features, whether it's review, size, category, price. I just know from reversing the process who are already bought the product. These audiences are already engaged with those influencers. And now I can match you with the people who I know, I'm not guessing, I know that they already generated sales for your competitors, for similar products or products in your niche. And this is how we're completely disrupting this industry. And I think you understand now how sometimes thinking outside the box, that's probably how I became so famous and successful as a mentalist and a mind reader, because when you're doing a magic effect on stage, you always ask yourself first, what is the outcome? What do I want the audience to experience? And then I'm starting to figure out, hey, how can I do it? How can I achieve that goal? And not try to make it, happen by itself, but literally going from the back. And that's how we build that.
Oh my goodness.
You just have the secret sauce, so now everybody can go and imitate what we did.
Yeah, much easier said than done. But I think everybody's jaw just hit the floor in terms of like, that would be incredible to tap into that type of network. Now, Ehud, we're running up on time. We're going to wrap things up here. Maybe I can twist your arm and pull you into a part 2 episode here where we could actually dive into like what makes successful content creator campaigns, right? Because that's going to be the name of the game over the next, you say in the next year or two, things are going to shift, paramountly, that you're going to need this in order to survive. But Ehud, I like to leave my audience with 3 actionable takeaways from each episode. Here are the 3 that I've noted. You let me know if I'm missing anything and anything else we should add to this. But step number 1 and action item number 1 would be to understand what your brand is and understand what the term brand means. And so first is go back to the very beginning of this podcast of what Ehud talked about, which is the simplicity of a brand is that it equals your audience. It's as simple as that. It's not having a trademark. It's not having 20 products in one niche. It's none of those metrics. It is as simple as having an audience of people that are there showing up, wanting the products that you offer, which leads to action item number 2. If you're struggling trying to figure out, well, who is my brand and who is my audience and how can I create this audience? The step 1 for that would be looking at your 1-star reviews, looking at who are the people that are telling you and begging for your help to say, this is the pain point that I'm having. If you can solve this, I am really painting your roadmap to future success. That is your audience. Then you take that to step number 3 and action item number 3 is if you already understand that you have a brand that has an audience, you already know who that audience is, the market that you're serving, and it's not everybody. It's a very specific subset of people. If you understand those things, you can move into step 3, which is pouring gasoline on the fire, which is partnering and creating relationships with these content creators. We haven't even gotten into the opportunity to dive into how do you form these relationships, because it's not just, hey, I sent them one product and now I'm just printing millions of dollars from their post. It's so much more than that. Step 3 would be go partner with somebody like Ehud's service, Logi.ai, that can revolutionize and distribute your products to the audience that you're trying to serve better. Ehud, is there anything else that you would add that I've missed here?
No, that first thing, it's really sweet of you to make that third action point pointing at me. It doesn't have to point at me. It's really about building a community and understanding that use that community to spread the word. And if you can track who from that community is actually generating sales for you, you'll be able to grow that connection and relationship with them and make them your brand ambassadors and all that kind of stuff. So of course, we'll be happy to help, but it's really literally down to this, to understanding that people like these are buying products from people like these. These are like the same concept. This is what you want to remember. And I love it. That's a great recap. I think you should be the next ChatGPT because you know how to take a thing and, summarize it.
Not as quickly though. Not as quickly. This has been amazing. Ehud, I like to ask each guest the 3 following questions. So we'll start with number 1. What is the most influential book that you've read and why?
So I try to read a lot of books, and recently I tried to Audible a lot of books so I can, listen to them while I'm on the road. So outside of the, huge books that influenced me from childhood, like The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho, or The Best Salesman in the World, one of the best books ever. It's a tiny little book that just, changes things completely. I actually want to recommend one of my recent reads that is that I would recommend to everybody who's starting a new business, whether it's e-commerce or any kind of business. And it's written by a fellow Israeli dude that actually sold the software Waze to Google for $1.2 billion. His book is called Fall in Love with the Problem. not the solution. And I think that kind of emphasizes, actually, it reminds me of what we spoke about reading the 1-star review.
Yeah.
His name is Uri Levin, you would say in America. But I would totally recommend that book for a lot of the people right now. Great book. So
I love that. That's a great recommendation. I haven't read that one yet, but I have added it to the list now. Second question, what's your favorite productivity tool or software tool that you've been using that you think is a game changer?
So I totally recommend to everyone, even if you're not a coder or like an advanced developer or anything, to really learn the basics of no-code tools. So the tool that I use, or at least use the most when it comes to no coding, used to be called integromat.com. It was changed to a simple make.com. It's very similar to Zapier, which a lot of people are using, but in my opinion, it's so much more robust because of the user interface. If there's one tool that, because everybody's using, Google Sheets and Docs and all these kind of different software and emails and all that kind of stuff, but learning that little learning curve that will make you a little bit of a better automator, by using make.com, you can literally automate so much of your company and achieve so much in less time with less hassle. Totally recommend it. And if you're not ready to make.com, I would probably suggest switching to Airtable, which is another really powerful tool that's like Google Sheets, but on steroids. And that allows a lot of automations from within it. So you don't have to rely on other softwares as well. So that's a really good recommendation.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. We just recently started using make.com as well. And man, it has been game changing. And I love that you could see process flows in it. It's definitely got a different user interface than Zapier does. And it really helps. I mean, you're kind of laying out your SOPs and giving it to automation. So I love that. Final question, Ehud. Who is somebody that you admire or respect the most in the e-commerce space and why?
That's a very big question, like, who you are.
Putting you on the spot now, right? There's only one that you could recommend out of everybody, right?
That's a beautiful question. I'm actually going to mention someone that was in your podcast a few weeks ago. And he's someone who I really appreciate and I really love him. And I think that he's also one of the top e-commerce and Amazon brilliant people, but he's also a good friend and I really appreciate him. And his name is James Thompson. He's one of the founders of the Prosper Show in Vegas. And he had a huge agency. Now he really helps a lot of companies in the business. But I feel like he's the reason why I really appreciate him is because I feel like he really loves to help. He really just loves to help by sharing his knowledge and sharing his connections. When I just told him before anything, I just told him about that technology. I was so impressed. All of a sudden, I started getting all these emails that he was connecting me to all these people. I was just these are the people that we need more of, just people that want to share this, eternal love with the universe. So I really like you, James. Thank you so much for everything you did for us and for everything you do. So I really love him.
Big shout out to James. And if you haven't heard his episode, go check out in past episodes. It came out in the month of April. Check out James Thompson's podcast episode. So much knowledge that he shares. So, Ehud, where can people go to follow you, learn more about Logi AI, and follow your journey?
So you just said it, logi.ai. That's like literally the best way to find information about us. logie.ai. That's a website. And you will probably have to go to a waiting list because we have a lot of brands in the waiting list, but definitely put your information in, and make sure that you mention that you heard about us in this podcast. And I'm an easy approach as well. Direct email is literally just the letter E, like Ehud E, the letter E at logi.ai. So if anyone wants to reach me directly, very busy, I'll try to reply. I'm trying to. Sometimes it takes a week or two or a month, but I'm trying to reply when people are looking for me.
I love it. Ehud, thank you so much for coming on this podcast. I know I've learned a lot. I'm sure our audience as well. So thank you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, Josh. And thank you for everybody for listening to us. Truly appreciate it.
Thank you for listening. Visit ecombreakthrough.com for more information. If you've enjoyed today's episode, the best way you can show your appreciation is by clicking the subscribe button and quickly leaving a review. See you again next time.